Well, I think real estate is a great investment right now. I used to go around telling people don't buy 2 years ago. And I'd say don't buy real estate, don't take these exploding mortgages. And I'd make speeches and exclaim, don't buy real estate right now, it's too high. Now is the time to get out and buy. And I would really say buy it from institutions, buy it from banks where they can give you seller financing, because you really can buy real estate without putting up very much money. This is right now the time to buy. Well, I think when you're being interviewed, you should toot your own horn. You should talk about how good you are, because you know what? If you don't do it, nobody else is going to. And if you're sitting there with somebody, you want to explain to that somebody that you're really somebody that's going to do a great job, that you're something special. And I believe in bragging about yourself if you're looking for a job, because you have to convince that person. And if you don't do it, he's not going to know you're good. You might as well tell him.
1% or less actually make financial independence. So that means 99% of the people are living in a delusion. And if you ask them what are they going to do if I gave them $10 million, what would they do with their life? I guarantee you 2 to 8 million of that will be spent in less than a minute. Motivation is not a solution, it's a symptom. Well, I think that the first step is to dissolve your own shames and guilts and reasons why you don't deserve. Because a lot of people are sitting there beating themselves up. Anytime you set goals that are not aligned with your highest values and you then don't achieve because you give up on them, then you end up beating yourself up and think there's something wrong with you. Well, first of all, you want to find out whatever you've done in your life, how it served you, how it served others, and clear out any shame and guilt. Then you want to sit down and ask, what is it that you're really going to do? Because you're not going to get wealthy unless you're serving people. And if you're not dedicated to serving people, you have a fantasy called wealth. You need to make sure that you really have a value on serving people. You need to have a value on wealth, because if you don't really have a value on wealth, you'll spend it. If you have more of a value on spending it than saving it and investing it, it's going to keep going out the window. Because the money circulates through the economy from those who value it least to those who value it most over time. So you have to value wealth building more than spending. You have to value serving people more than just taking. And you have to be able to be dedicated to something that's really congruent with your values, or you won't stay with it. You won't build momentum and perseverance towards an accomplishment. And people who have a forced automatic savings in place and are willing to consistently study and research because they value wealth building. Warren Buffett by the time he was 11, he already read all the books in the Omaha, Nebraska library on wealth building by the age 11. He was committed to the outcome. People are really committed to wealth building. They study it, they research it, they mentor under it, they apply it, they have forced savings and investment structures in place. They constantly are trying to serve people, and they want to build a business that lasts. What happens is every human being lives by a set of priorities, a set of values, things that are most important to least important in their life. Whenever they set goals that are congruent and aligned with their highest values, they become the most powerful and effective people they can be. This is when they're the most grateful, the most resilient. This is when they're most disciplined and most fulfilled in their life. Whenever they're living by lower values and trying to inject the values of others or minimize themselves and live by lower value systems, they procrastinate, hesitate, frustrate, and they become, you might say, victims of their history, not masters of their destiny. So you look at how people fill their space. You look at how they spend their time. You look at what they are disciplined about and focused on. You look at where they're most organized. You look at where they spend the most money. You look at what energizes them the most. You look at what they think about, visualize, affirm, and converse with others about most, that is in line with what they're creating in life. Look at what they're inspired by, what their goals are, and what they love learning. If you look and find the common threads to those questions, it'll narrow down to what you're dedicated to and what you spontaneously can't wait to get up in the morning and do. Any individual that is setting goals, intentions, that are congruent and aligned with the highest values, they have the highest probability of being spontaneously inspired in the morning to get up and do it. So if you have an entrepreneur that's working in a business and they found what is most meaningful to them, they have found the tap dance to work energy that Warren Buffett describes. Now, in addition to that, an entrepreneur also has to find out what their targeted market's highest values are to make sure that they're providing a service that meets those specific needs. So determining your own values and determining other people's values that you want to serve is an essential component, because you're here to be able to find something that serves other people, but it's also meaningful to you. If you find those two, you've got your niche. Now you've got exactly what you would love to get up in the morning and do, and you get to go and do what exactly people want, and you get to fulfill their life. Because everybody has a set of priorities, a set of values in their life, whenever they're living by their highest value, which the ancient Greeks called the telos, which is the highest priority in their life, The chief aim, as Napoleon Hill called it, or Ed Ellison called it the magnificent obsession, or the big why. That highest value is the most meaningful and most purposeful thing they can do. That is the purpose. When you do, you're the most resilient, most adaptable to pain and pleasure. When you go down the list of values to lower values, you're less inspired, less fulfilled by doing them. You procrastinate in doing them. And what happens is you'll only do them if it's pleasurable, and if it's not, you'll give up. So the key is to make sure that everything you do is highest priority, the thing that's most meaningful to you, so you don't give up, you have the resilience, and you embrace pain and pleasure in the pursuit of a great purpose. If you are not living by your highest values, because you're wanting to do it with pleasure only and you'll want to give up if it's pain, you'll need motivation all the time. The difference between inspiration, which is from within, is people who are inspired from within are living by their highest values. And people that need motivation from without are people that haven't found that highest value and are living by lower values, and they need constant incentives and motivation and only pleasure to keep them going. So our animal nature needs motivation, but our truest nature, our human nature, the one that activates the telencephalon in the brain, the executive centers of the brain, which allows you to be an executive and a leader in the world, transcends this pain, pleasure, amygdala reaction of the lower animal and within us, and allows us to function from an inner core mission that transcends that and allows us to be able to embrace pain, pleasure, support, challenge, ease, difficulties. Any complementary pair of opposites that you face along the way, you turn into on the way. If you're expecting to float across between two buildings, that's unrealistic expectation. Or if you're expecting yourself to do something that's truly not high on your values and not meaningful to you, you'll tend to give up. Or expecting some other human being to do something that doesn't abide by the laws of the universe, or expecting them to live outside their values. Because every human being makes decisions according to what will give them the greatest advantage over disadvantage, greatest reward over risk to their highest values. So if you expect yourself to do something that's not really meaningful to you, it sounds like a neat whim, but it's not really you, you're going to end up self-defeating and end up with the A, B, C, Ds of negativity. Internal anger and aggression, internal blame and feelings of betrayal, internal criticism and challenge, internal despondency, despair, and depression. And these A, B, C, Ds of negativity that you internally have, which some people call negative self-talk and negative self-behavior, is actually a feedback mechanism to make sure we're setting realistic expectations that are aligned with our real values. And we know that it's real if we can see it in our mind's eye, we see the strategy, we know the action steps, and it's obtainable. Now, those are the keys. When you do, you have a realistic expectation, and you keep showing effort and evidence of manifesting what you want to manifest. The wisest thing to do is start with simple goals that you achieve and train yourself to do what you say. If you train yourself to do what you say, your piggy banks become biggie banks. Your little action steps become big dreams. And if you live congruently with your highest values, you have the highest probability of achievement, and you won't give up on your goals. So if you set goals that are congruent, that are truly meaningful to you, and you start chunking them down into small enough bites, so you just keep doing things and keep rewarding yourself by accomplishing immediate steps, you'll end up manifesting things because you just strategize your way into the bigger game. So I always say that if you chunk the big project down into small bites and then down to everything that's within a time horizon and within your vision to see and do, you'll get it. You just stay with it long enough. If you stay perseverant towards an objective and exemplify action every day towards your objective, sooner or later everybody else kind of dies out and you're at the top. You just got to stay with it. Procrastination is a result of three primary things. It's an unclear vision. It is an unchunked vision. It means you're taking on too big a chunk without bringing it down to small enough bites that you can go and get it done. And it's not linked to your highest values. If you take the objective that you have, you make sure it is abide by the laws of the universe, it's doable. You make sure it really matches your highest values so it's linked. And the way you know that is if you can rattle off the reasons why you can do it and how it will help you fulfill your mission fluently. Because if you're fluent, you're congruent. Then you basically make sure it's chunked down into small action steps you can do, and you micromanage until you've proven you can macromanage. That means you do it into small baby steps every single day. If I do this, I'm one step closer. If I do this the next day, I do it one step closer. Break it down into such small steps that it's by the inch, it's a cinch. If you do, you won't procrastinate. Procrastinate means that you've unchunked it, unlinked it, and unclarified it. I think that people who think they're going to be positive all the time are delusioned. Just like a magnet, it has two sides, and you have two sides. And the more you set up a fantasy that has only one side, the more you get depressed when it doesn't match your fantasy. So I'm a realistic guy that sets real goals in real time with a balanced orientation, and I accomplish more by doing it. than setting up fantasies and then having nightmares. The real principle behind the law of attraction is not really metaphysical, as some would like to propose. If you're a woman and you're dedicated to children and you have 3 beautiful children and you walk in a mall, you're going to notice things related to children. You're not going to notice business materials. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're walking in a mall, you're going to notice business things. You're not going to notice children's things. So that means that whatever is most important to you, whatever is highest on your value, whatever your real purpose and most inspiration is, you're going to filter out of your reality. You're going to see opportunities. You're going to make decisions quicker because you got more awareness, and you're going to stick to them with more perseverance in that area, and you're going to see more synchronicities. So a lot of the secret is simply those things that occur spontaneously when you're congruent with your highest values. So if a person will set goals that are congruent and aligned and chunk them down and follow those actions and prioritize it and delegate that, they have amazing synchronicities, and their vision and their affirmations and their things become congruent, and in that congruency they create their reality. So I'm a believer that it's not as much metaphysical as it is axiological. It is based on human value systems.
How to become a millionaire step by step. Today I'm going to teach you one of the most profound concepts that I've learned in my life that has helped me become a millionaire by the age of 27 and a multi-millionaire by the age of 30. Now you may not realize this, but one of the most toxic concepts and one of the most toxic ideas that you've been exposed to is this: that somehow if you make money in a very short period of time, that somehow if you make money quickly, it is a bad idea. You've heard of the term, get rich quick. Somehow in a society that we believe if you make your money, if you build wealth quickly, it must be something shady. You must be doing something illegal. It must be a scam, right? It get rich quick, oh, that's a bad idea. When people say, oh, is this get rich quick? You better hope that it is, because you don't have time to get rich slow. Now, what do I mean by that? Wealth is not just measured by how much money you have. Wealth is measured more in time than in just money. Let's say you make $25,000 a year. And let's say you work 40 years. How much money you've made? $1 million. Now, it's $1 million a lot of money? Absolutely. You've made $1 million. The question is, are you rich? No. Why not? Because it took you 40 years to accumulate $1 million, to make $1 million. Now, let's look at a different scenario. Let's say you still make $1 million, but instead of taking you 40 years, you make that same $1 million within 12 months, within 1 year. Now, are you rich? Yes. Now you are a millionaire. What is the difference? It's the same $1 million. The only difference is the time that it takes for you to make it. And the cool thing is this: when you make your money in a relatively short period of time, guess what? Now you have more time to enjoy it. Instead of waiting for 65 years old, then you may enjoy your money for the 10 years, want to enjoy it for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. That's the only difference. That's why wealth is not measured in how much money you make, it's how fast you make that money. Now, what if you make $1 million a month? Let's think bigger. $1 million a month. The person who makes $1 million a month is 12 times richer than the person who makes $1 million a year. And he or she is richer than the person, 480 times richer than the person who makes $25,000 for 40 years. That's the difference. And that's why rich people, we value time more than we value money. Poor people, they value money more than they value time. And that's why if there's something with my Bentley, an oil change, or I gotta go do something or fix the car, I'm not gonna do it because it's not worth my time. My time is much more valuable. I have other activities that I could do that could bring in more money. Now you may be saying that, well, easy for you to say, you're Dan Lok. You've got money, of course you could do that. That is not true. You might be thinking because you're rich, that is not true. I got rich when I started valuing my time. Most people never get rich because they never value their time. So think about that. Do you want to make it quick or do you want to make it slow? Do you have time to even make it slow? If you're serious about making it faster, not the traditional path. But how do you make it faster? If you want to know how millionaires, how we think, how we operate, how we do business, how we do marketing, click on the link below right there and find out how.
The best advice to a small business owner, or for that matter, to a large business owner, is never stop thinking about how to delight your customer. Not to satisfy your customer, but to delight your customer. And when you wake up in the morning, start thinking about it. During the day, think about it. At night, think about it, and then dream about it. And no company's ever failed that had millions of delighted customers. And you start with them and you get them one at a time.
There's no substitute for hard work. The best time you're ever going to have is when it starts out just you, and it'd be great if it grows into a wonderful, big, profitable company. But you're never going to be happier and more satisfied than you are in the first year or so of getting your business going, because you do every single thing. You sweep up when everybody goes home, you're the first one in, you plug in the coffee pot, so when your people come in, they have hot coffee and can get straight to work. You work through lunch, set an example for them, but there's no substitute for hard work. People say luck, yes, but the harder you work, the luckier you get.
My advice to a small business owner or any entrepreneur would be not to be discouraged if the business you end up with is not the one you started out to pursue, because so often you encounter difficulties, you encounter failures, and the important piece is to learn from each of those very quickly and to pivot and to move on to the idea that works.
Of course, you have to be close to your products, close to your customers, and think about them. That's the most important, but don't forget to think about your business, what your plans are, what you want to do next, how to take your business to the next level. Again, think about being in your business, but think about your business as well.
My best advice is to really work hard to clarify what your purpose is and be able to articulate that, be able to communicate it in a simple sentence. And the reason that's important is as you bring people into your company, I think the most important question you ask them is, why are you here? Why do you want to join this company? And if you hear that purpose back, if you hear that passion around that purpose, makes everything a whole lot easier. Any skill can be learned and taught, but passion cannot.
Being an entrepreneur can be a roller coaster ride at times. You will have great days, you will have not so great days. You may even from time to time have an awful day. You've got to stay focused and stay level-headed and keep your feet on the ground.
Companies that do well at some level, even though it may not be written down on a piece of paper, need to have kind of a clear strategy of why they're different, why they're adding value, why they're producing something special that customers need and that they're not getting now. So I think if there's a clear sense of strategy and you can get all the people aligned around that, then you get a lot more power than if you're just scrambling and working harder and harder and without that clear direction.
The world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world. Try not to bash into the walls too much. Try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.